up my Facebook here.
All right, we're live.
All right, how we doing?
Good evening, all, and welcome to Practically Tactical. This is our live show streaming to you on YouTube, but you can also catch all of our shows on iTunes in a podcast format. New episodes drop every Sunday at noon Central Standard Time. As you can see, we have a double bonus feature on tonight's show. We have Eric with the epic beard, and Chad completely went all out, dressed up for the show. Is really probably putting me to shame the way I'm dressed up here, but guys, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man, thanks for having us.
Hey, thanks for coming on, and cheers. Appreciate it.
Beer. All right, I got my beer too.
So for all of our audience out there, be sure to put your questions in the regular YouTube chat window, and we'll hit up some questions. You can also put them in the Google Q&A app, and we'll be answering questions live during the show in our dedicated Q&A segments. Be sure to click on that like and share button on the video, as it really helps spread the word around you. Spread the word about the show on YouTube. So let's start the show. Welcome to Practically Tactical, episode 46, brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network. The Practically Tactical show features a roundtable discussion about guns, gear, beer, and shooting on tonight's episode. For more information on the show, links to our guest guns and gear we discuss, please visit practacpodcast.com/046. On this episode, we're talking with Eric and Chad from the famous gun YouTube channel, Iraqveteran8888. How's it going, guys?
All right, it's going well. Thanks for having us.
Oh, thanks for coming on, guys. Really appreciate it. It looks like we might have a new member joining the conversation here, possibly.
Oh, my business partner. I mean, wife.
Is she gonna let you get away with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get away with a lot of stuff.
Before we start the show here, guys, I have one show announcement. We just dropped a new Practically Tactical On Target featuring ATEI. If you guys aren't familiar with them, go check them out. They do some ridiculous, sick work for slide serrations, frame stippling, all sorts of work. But go check that out for Practically Tactical On Target. But let's move on to the show, talking with Eric and Chad. So I'm going to hit both you guys up here on this part here first. And Eric, I'll hit you first, and then Chad, I'll get with you here. So Eric, what's kind of your history with firearms? Kind of, who, what, when, where, why? Were you raised around them? Is it something you grew into?
Yeah, absolutely. I got started with firearms at a very early age. I grew up in a pro-gun household. So I had parents, grandparents that were always, I was exposed to firearms from a very early age. There was always a shotgun or a .22 in just about every corner of the house. I had one of those kind of families that would keep shotguns and rifles behind doors and things like that. So, grew up in a very pro-gun household. Probably the point that I knew I was a gun nut was the point that I got exposed to military surplus firearms. I got to shoot early on. I shot a Springfield .03. I killed my first deer with an .03. And then after I killed the deer with the .03, a few weeks after the fact, my grandpa let me shoot a M1 carbine. And that's when I knew that I was really into guns. I was 12 years old. And then shortly after, I got a .22. As most young men have a .22 out the gate. I got my first .22. It was a Winchester Model 121 youth model. And a single-shot .22, and I killed a lot of squirrels with that gun growing up. From a gun standpoint, I was exposed to hunting a lot as a young man, so everything from rabbits, squirrels, deer, a few hogs here and there. And I pretty much stayed on the gun bandwagon up until, of course, the time I was able to buy long guns. I got heavily into some of the more like bolt-action hunting rifles starting out. Bought a Ruger M77 Mark II all-weather stainless gun. That rifle I bought is a .223 caliber. One of the ones that has a black skeletonized stock, and got that. That was one of my first bolt guns.
Still have that gun.
I still have that gun.
Breaking.
And I bought that gun 2 days after I turned 18. So I was into guns, early on, and then got into hunting rifles around 18. Around 19, 20 years old, I started getting into more of the sporting rifles, as I like to call them. Picked up I think I bought a Spanish Setme and I bought a little Century AK, little basic Washer 10. I remember those. And got more into the military style of firearms. And I did spend some time in the military. I joined the Guard when I was 19. So kind of early on, right out of basically right after high school, when I deployed to Iraq in '05. Being exposed to firearms in the military, obviously I already came from a pro-gun household and was raised around guns and was a gun owner from early on. But of course, getting to handle stuff like M2 heavy barrel machine guns, M16s, all the firearms in the military just kind of grew my love for military guns all that much more. So out of the military and moving forward to more along the present day, I've just always been into military firearms, and that tends to be the niche that I kind of gravitate to. And yeah, I've been a gun nut pretty much since I was 9. So I've been at it for 21 years. So, yeah.
What about you, Chad?
Well, I didn't really heavily start getting into firearms until I met Eric. We've known each other for, I guess, about 16 or 17 years now, I suppose.
17 years.
Went to school together and all, and I had very limited exposure to guns in my household. I mean, my dad had a few hunting rifles. He had an old Model 66, that I took out and shot every now and again. Some 22s, pellet gun. The best one I could think of was the Browning BLR, little lever gun. I learned how to shoot on that pretty much, and I used to beg Dad to go out and shoot stuff and shoot tin cans, and never really would appease me on that. But started hanging out with Eric here, started shooting more, getting more into guns, and I didn't really start like collecting, I would say, until probably about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Really, I mean, I was always into guns and shooting and stuff, but when we started doing the YouTube stuff a little bit more heavy and getting more involved with Moss, I met Ray, the gunsmith up there, and got talking with him, and he's very passionate about what he does and very passionate about firearms in general, and learning more about the military surplus from Eric. And I've kind of started up a military surplus collection of my own now, getting a little bit late in the game, but never too late to do. Well, it's not hard to do, especially in the business that we're in too. I mean, cool guns come in the shop, you can't help but take them aside and maybe pick them up or whatever. You meet cool people, and sometimes some deals kind of come up out of the blue, and you just can't pass them up. It's almost like an investment for me. I consider firearms to be more of an investment than anything else. So that's kind of my take on it. But got a pretty good collection coming along. But into a lot of different things. Tactical firearms. Military surplus. Accurate firearms. I'm actually taking my M1A now and scoping it. So that's kind of one of those side projects. So.
Oh, we have guests.
Uh-oh, yeah, that's my wife. All right.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
So you're going to come on and just tell us all the dirt about Eric, right?
Yeah. Don't worry, she can tell you some dirt about me. Well, Brandy's my wife, my better half, and she's the
This is Jacob.
That's Jacob, my stepson, the younger one, and he's a good kid. But Brandy's kind of more along the lines of the business side. She helps manage the day-to-day operations of the channel, so she's kind of one of the hidden members of the channel that you really never see, but she's a big part of how the channel runs.
Yep, I agree with that.
Chad and I were at a wedding, so we're both dressed.
I told everybody you dressed up for the show.
Oh, well, the truth is out.
The truth is out now.
This isn't going on anything, is it?
You did.
But we'll give a segue here, and you can jump in any time here. If he says something incorrect, you just jump on him, Brandy. Anything you want to say, you just jump in whenever you feel like it.
Oh, she will.
So, I'll call it. We'll call it drunken research. The other night I watched, I think, the first, 24 Gun Gripe episodes on your channel. Obviously, super popular videos, but in there you kind of talked about your relationship, if that's a word for this, with Moss Pond is not just working there. When you were younger, you would actually go in there, right? So,
yeah.
Dare I say it's? I don't want to say. Is it a dream job, kind of working there? I mean, at least a dream when you were a kid.
Well, Mr. Moss and Moss Pond, the whole thing with Moss Pond, they've been in business for almost 37 years. They've been there, and the business has grown and changed a lot over the years into what it is now. But the deal with Moss, I used to go in Moss Pond all the time when I was younger, and I remember being, 18, 19 years old, going in Moss, checking out guns. And I don't think Barry worked there back when, I was younger. But when I got into my 20s, I got back from Iraq in '06. I think I was like 22 years old, and that's about when Barry started working at Moss. And I used to go in there and chat with Barry all the time. And Barry was a fixture at Moss long before I ever started working.
He's been there for a while.
Barry worked there for about 11 years. So the whole thing with Barry, I used to go in there and talk with him all the time. And I've known Barry for many years. And, I could say that to answer your question, yes, it is a bit of a dream job because I've always liked the shop. I've always been treated well as a customer. So obviously when you're involved in a business heavily as a customer, you're buying lots of guns, you're buying inventory. It's always exciting to kind of be a part of that business and know that you're giving back to that business that you've been a member of, basically, and a customer. I've been a customer of Moss for 13 years.
Quite a while. I remember going in there.
Yep. But yeah, I used to go in there all the time, and they're always treating me right. So it's a very delicate situation in terms of, obviously we record. You mentioned gun gripes. We record the gun gripes. They're in the shop, and the Mosses get a lot of influx of business as a result of us posting the videos. Obviously, the location, people are going to be curious about all the guns we have in stock and things like that. It has helped the Mosses grow as a business, and it's helped the channel grow as well. So it's been a good thing. It's helped out.
Okay.
For both of us.
We'll knock out a few things on the Moss Pond here. So you alluded to it there and said it, but so you're not the owner. You don't own the place. You work. You both work there, correct?
Yes, part-time.
Okay.
We're not here all the time anymore. Early on, when we were just starting to get into the YouTube elements with Moss Pond, yes, I was there, 5 days a week, just like a normal, 9 to 5 type thing. But now the channel has really taken so many different spins in terms of how busy we are that we're actually only there 3 days out of the week now.
Well, and two, see, I used to work a retail job, and we got so busy with things, I actually had to quit my retail job to do YouTube, and then I started working at Moss Pond part-time, to help supplement income and such as that. But I just couldn't handle a 40-hour-a-week job and then tack another 40 hours a week of video production and editing such as that on top of it. Too much.
Yeah. It got to a point where Chad had to get away from the retail world, and we're more or less collectively doing it full time. I mean, you're looking at the whole face of the channel right in front of you. I mean, Ray obviously couldn't be here, but my wife, Chad, and I were pretty much the three main fixtures of the channel in terms of business operations and everything like that.
Okay, so we kind of talked about it a little bit before the show, but maybe we can help out some people that come in. Obviously, you get a lot of traffic in Moss Pond there. So, is hugging you allowed? Is that allowed? Can people come in and do that, or what do you prefer for that area of distance between visitors?
No. I've taken a couple of pictures with babies, which I think is a little weird. I have.
That's news to me. I never knew that.
Yeah, I mean, I had one couple come in and had the children with them, and one of the guys wanted me to hold the baby. I'm like, what are you, a politician? But no,
Did you sign his head?
Yeah.
What's that?
I said, did you sign his head?
No, I didn't sign the baby's head. The weird thing is, when it comes to fame and getting a little bit more well-known and basically what we call e-famous, the thing about it is that I'm just a regular guy. I try to be approachable and normal, and I am a normal guy, but I'm just a really well-known normal guy. So people come into the shop, and I've had like young guys go like, "Oh man, you're like Ted Nugent to me. You're so well-known." It's like I don't think of myself like that. But if individuals want to come in the shop and get their photo made, or they want an autograph signed, I mean, it happens on a regular basis, and I don't mind that. If they feel like they need that, and it's that important to them, then I'll oblige them. I mean, if they want a picture made, fine, I'll sign something, or it's no big deal to me. It's just if that's what they want and they visit, I'm more than happy to sign stuff for them.
Well, especially too, I mean, some of the people we've had visit have come from like Australia, I mean, Europe. We've had visitors from all over the world in the shop. You know, I mean, and all across the country. So people travel through Atlanta quite often and just traveling south on 75. They can't help but pass by the shop, heading to Florida on vacation. I mean, we get a lot of people over the summer who drop by just to say hi, check out the shop, and just visit for a little while. It's a really humbling thing that you're that well known that people actually take the time out of their day to come by and see you. I mean, that's something kind of special.
Yeah, we get people from all over the world, everywhere.
That's awesome. Well, I think that really shows the power of YouTube. So obviously, Chad, Eric shared probably one of the most awkward pictures. Any awkward pictures? Most awkward picture you've ever had to do there, Chad?
Haven't quite had an awkward picture yet. I mean, some oddball pictures every now and again. Some of the guns and stuff that are involved, but nothing really awkward. Not like babies or anything like that. Haven't had a hold on your body or nothing along those lines.
Now, I'm just throwing out an idea here, and I'd only ask for a 20% cut. Is maybe you guys should sell an official Iraqveteran8888 baby beard that he can hold the baby, put the beard on it, and then holds it so it's like twins. I'm just asking for a 20% cut.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah, just putting it out there.
I'll consider it.
Maybe we can make it. Yeah, Iraqveteran
baby beard.
Baby beard bib.
Hey, a baby beard where his little body's holding an AK and he's got, a baby bottle with like liquor in it.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, why not?
And there's your next official IV8888 patch right there. There you go.
We actually do have a new business model in the works. I can't really discuss much, so it's not really one of the things I'm ready to announce just yet, but I can promise you it's going to be really awesome once it hits the market and everything comes forward. I will say it's a product. We do have a product in the works, okay, a new product, and it's a new portion of our business and everything, so one of those deals where, we want to do something like that. So
Well, I'll go ahead and tell you what it is. It's basically, from Jerry Michalak visiting back in July, Eric got the idea to make an Iraq veteran sunblock. It's basically it's a bronzing solution. So what he thinks is if he uses that bronze, then he can shoot better and shoot more like Jerry Michalak.
It makes me faster.
So that's what we're marketing. It's Iraq veteran sunblock. Just so you guys know.
If it works, you're going to sell the crap out of it. I can guarantee you that.
You let the cat out of the bag, man.
We can guarantee it, but you'll need to read the fine print on the back of the bottle, okay?
Yeah, these statements have not been approved by the FDA. Yeah.
That is a perfect segue talking about Jerry. Is this something last night I was hanging out with Jesse from 4C Tactical, and we were kind of talking about, I work at a gun shop and gun range, and obviously watching you guys and other famous famous YouTube guys, and you look at them and you're like, wow, that guy is amazing. Obviously Jerry shoots one of the best shooters ever, and I look at that and that makes me feel like, wow, I am a terrible shooter. But then you go to the range and you see other people and you're like, wow, I'm actually pretty darn good. But what was it like shooting next to Jerry?
I would say humbling. But on one end, I would say that he wasn't condescending at all. You would think that a guy that is as good as he is and he knows he's good, you would think that he is one of those kind of people that's just going to have that greater than thou attitude.
Yeah, kind of cocky attitude.
Yeah, but he's very humble. He's a human being. He's a very human person and a wonderful instructor. One of those kind of guys that can really just teach you without coming across as being condescending, and just a great guy. I really enjoyed our time with Jerry and his whole family. They're all great people.
Well, they're all professional shooters more or less. I mean, Jerry and Kay and now Lena, they all shoot professionally. They travel around the country doing 3-gun matches and different shooting competitions all around, and that's what they do for a living. I mean, they shoot for a living. I mean, it's insane to think about that. You go to the range, okay, you're going to burn up 10,000 rounds of ammo or whatever the case may be, getting ready for a match within a week or so, and then you're going to travel to another state, shoot a match. I mean, and that's all they do. They shoot. I mean, no wonder they're so good, But Jerry is an outstanding, person. I mean, he is very approachable. I mean, in between some of the segments while we were filming, I just had small talk with him and learned a hell of a lot, just from just the small talk.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, it was a very, very cool experience having him down there at the farm with us. I mean, it was really something else.
Oh yeah, and they're actually planning on coming back before too long. Hopefully before the end of the year. I'll tell you what, I relish the opportunity. I can't wait to have a chance to hang out with Jerry and talk shop and make YouTube videos. And on that note, to me, it offers a lot of legitimacy to what we're doing as a production company and also as the YouTube entity. It adds legitimacy to what we're doing because when the industry sees guys like Jerry coming and shooting with us, and they're going to go, wow, well, these guys are legit. I mean, if Jerry's going to take his time to go shoot with Eric and the guys, well, Eric and the guys must be worth talking to. So it offers a lot more legitimacy to YouTubers in the gun world when well-known people like Jerry interact with us and do things with us.
Mainly when they get involved on social media, because I mean they see the value of it coming up in the gun industry, and mainly is what we're talking about. But social media has been a big boom in the gun industry within the past couple of years. It's only going to increase over the next several years.
That's about time. That's about time. The gun industry's been very slow to come on board with a lot of the concepts of social media. You look at a lot of these just Uber-produced videos that these gun companies are paying exuberant amounts of money to produce these videos, syndicate them on their website, and then, okay, the video gets like 3,000 views, and it's a video that they spent literally probably hundreds of dollars on the second to produce compared to what they could work with a company like us and get it done for and then syndicate it out to an audience of people that are there to see what we're posting. And it's relevant and it's pertinent to what people actually want to see. That's probably getting a little bit more into the business aspect of YouTube than probably needs to in the context of this conversation. However, the gun companies, to basically, agree with you there, the gun companies are getting on board and they are understanding that social media is kind of the new TV. YouTube is the new TV, and it's what people gravitate to. It's on demand. It's pertinent. It's valuable because it comes from real people that aren't paid actors and all this crap or paid spokesmen, and it's the real deal. So we're the real deal, and that's what people they want. Real people.
Yeah, well, I would agree wholeheartedly because I mean, obviously, the AR crunch is over. The market is flush with ARs. But if you look at companies who are performing well, I would say, and I would put money on this, that the companies that are still performing well are the ones that got on board early. That know who their market is, because the guys out there that are looking for an AR now, in the way the market is, they're doing every single finite bit of research before they go buy something, and that's the value of the companies that work with companies that work with you guys, for example, and other YouTubers, that gets their product out more. There's a far greater chance that someone's going to purchase that because there's more information on it, people research it more, and all the data points are there on the firearm.
It's a double-edged sword. It is a double-edged sword. If a company comes to me and they say, Eric, we want you to do a review on our product or whatever, and that does happen, I would be lying if I didn't say that companies may occasionally come to us and say, we'd like for you to review our product or check out our product. We have to exercise caution because just because some company comes to me and says, hey, our product's the greatest thing since sliced bread, if it's not something I would spend my money on, then I'm not going to review it. And we purchase 95% of the guns we review. So we always make it a point to purchase the guns we review because that allows us to give a completely unbiased take on the gun that we review. We take gun reviews very seriously.
Well, a lot of times the new guns that come out, you wonder why you might not see a review right off the bat from us. It's because we're out there actually shooting the guns and testing them out and really putting them through the paces before we actually do a review on it. So
our reviews are always later than everybody else's because we generally take a few extra months to really wear the guns out and see if there's going to be problems developing. I mean, to know, just look at our videos and look at the B-roll where you see a big black ring on the end of the muzzle of the gun where you 800 rounds have been put through it.
That's why you never saw a review on the R51.
Yeah. Or the 1216, but we won't go there.
We will not go there.
Well, it's a perfect segue to kind of talk about the YouTube stuff. So, what kind of started doing some YouTube stuff there, Eric? How did that kind of come about?
Well, it kind of came down to community. Chad and I were both firearms enthusiasts. We were both out there shooting and kind of doing our thing on a regular basis. And at one point, I decided to bring a camera and start filming some things. And social media, you have to understand that it's weird. I comment on this subject like it was some century ago or something, but social media has seen a huge boom just in the last 6 years.
No, it might as well have been a century ago.
It might as well have been a century ago because, back when YouTube didn't even have they had what was called the Partners Program. And with the Partners Program, they allowed, I think, about 60 channels to enter the Partners Program and monetize their videos. I was one of the first 60 monetized YouTube channels ever.
Wow.
I was personally invited. They emailed me and they're like, "Look, do you want to do this?" I mean, and that was back when it was still a very small kind of thing. I mean, YouTube was huge then even, but it was new. YouTube was new back then. So we started getting into videos and doing some shooting and posting a few very basic and B-roll type videos on YouTube. Our early videos, I mean, if you look back at our early stuff, it is just the most slapstick and B-roll crap you'd ever see. Honestly, I don't know why anybody would ever watch it. It's complete garbage. It sucks. But we leave it up. It's funny, and people like to see channels progress. You can look at like old videos and compare to the new stuff, and it's like, whoa, what happened to these guys? So to answer your question, we got into it basically just kind of as a hobby and just to showcase things we were already working on, like projects that we just happened to be doing, and then just posting it on YouTube.
Maybe you had and either of you can hit on this, anybody. Was there a specific moment or a specific video where you just went, you know what? I think we got something going on here. I think this might be something kind of big.
Maybe the first viral video. Which one was that?
You know what? I wouldn't necessarily narrow it down to a viral video. I'll let Chad tell about at the time I had a BlackBerry World phone. Set it up for like email announcements and notifications.
Right.
Yeah, that's when it was.
He had that BlackBerry, and he had his YouTube account set up where every new subscriber that came onto the channel, he would get an email. And there was like one day where you had like 100 or 200 or 250 of those emails, and you're like, okay, this is getting a little bit crazy. Look at this. And he just swiped his phone down. He was like, look at all these emails. I said, what the hell is that? Subscribers. I said, what? That's where you're like 250 people.
It got to the point where, we were getting, at first it was like 80 or 100 a day. Then it was like 200 a day, and then it started being like 300 or 400 a day. And like now, we've leveled out to like between 600 and 800 subscribers a day, sometimes as many as 1,000. And when you look at, I'm not trying to throw print media under the bus, but when you look at print media and kind of the things that they're doing, you can't sit there and tell me that Guns and Ammo gets 1,000 new paid subscriptions per day. There's just no snowball's chance in hell.
No.
We're probably one of the most rapid growing multimedia outlets in terms of guns out there. Now, there's probably channels that are growing more rapidly than us.
Not only that, but to compare to print media, we're putting out a lot more content than print media does on a monthly basis. We usually put out 3 videos a week. Right? You're talking, at least 12.
At least 4 gun reviews.
Well, yeah, at least 4 gun reviews a month, some shot videos, some different things like that, and you get a variety of different content every single month delivered right to your
And it's always there.
It is. It's a permanent thing.
And
so
it's
you
free.
can look at it every time you want.
And it's free.
Yeah. Now, Brandy, was there ever a moment in time when Eric was like, hey, this YouTube thing, and we were like, you're crazy?
No, not really. I just let him do his thing. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. So, do you know what your first kind of viral video or one that just kind of blew you out of the water of surprise how many views it got?
The Mall Ninja.
Well, no, actually, the Mall Ninja
cut shell video.
It was the cut shell video with Barry.
That's true. That's true.
Video took off, and then also the How Far Will a 22 Kill? That video was extremely popular.
And I thought Eric was crazy for that. I said, "You want me to do what? You want me to shoot my 22 at 400 yards or 400 meters or whatever it was?" And like, what?
That's one of our highest viewed videos.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
the reason I said the Mall Ninja was because that was like not even really planned. It just happened. We didn't, y'all went out to the range and y'all were just having fun.
Well, that's funny too because that was when I first started like actually holding the camera, and I'm sitting there watching the gun go off, and I've got the camera here, and I'm like, "Oh, there's explosions over here going on. Oh crap!" You're pretty pissed at me when we looked at the footage. You're like, "You weren't recording that?"
it's one of the most slapstick videos ever produced. I've got this just stupid kitty-looking T-shirt on, stupid, and this
You need to sit
stupid
down or something.
freaking Mall Ninja gun. It's obvious, like dick-measured piece of crap ever. It's the stupidest video ever, but people love it. It's gotten like 9 million views.
When you see that thumbnail, and you've got like 10 AR mags hanging off in there. What is that?
I will divulge a little bit of information for you. We have another Mall Ninja video coming, and actually we've got a couple of Mall Ninja videos coming, and they're going to be insane.
Jacob, stop.
I guess something too here with the videos. And do you ever kind of go out and then just kind of stumble across something else? Like you're gonna go out with one plan and then you end up just falling into something else. We're like, you know what, we're gonna do this.
We usually always have a backup plan. We'll go out planning on maybe 2 or 3 videos. We'll go out and we'll plan on 2 or 3 videos or whatever, and we'll bring maybe like one extra gun just to test it out and see if it's working. If we do have a gun that's not working properly, we'll just pull something extra out of the hat and run with that. We usually kind of fly by the seat of our pants at the range. We don't really have a set plan as far as like scripted videos or that sort of thing, or what exactly we're going to do. We just kind of let things kind of fall in place. So I mean that's usually how it works. Some days don't work out. Like okay, we're filming down at the bottom of the hill there, doing some close range work, like the PTR, for example. That's a video that's going to be coming up here before too long. But we get up to the top of the hill, and then Eric realizes he forgot the shooting rest. So it's like, well, okay, are we going to actually showcase this gun without a shooting rest and try to print groups on paper? I mean, no, not really, because we're not going to really show the capabilities of the gun. So we're just going to hold on to what we do. I mean, we can just say, all right, well, we'll just come back to that maybe Wednesday or whatever. And we can take post days whenever we need. I can catch up on some post work at the house. Eric can catch up on some correspondence or whatever, emails such as that. So it all kind of works out. Like I said, we never really have a definite plan going into every single week. I mean, we have a rough idea of what we want to do, but sometimes, it just doesn't work out that way, and we just kind of adapt to the situation.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It just depends. I mean, sometimes some videos come together beautifully when we don't have a plan. And we could plan everything out like we want, down to what we're going to say, what we're going to shoot, what targets we're going to use, everything. But sometimes the videos that come together the best are the ones that are unplanned. And we don't ever know when those are going to occur because obviously we don't plan them. So, for instance, here's a good example. I'll keep it very quick. You might have saw the video where we did the tribute to Mikhail Kalashnikov.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Well, I brought out my PAP pistol, and I had all of those magazines, and we were going to do just a burn. We were just going to run the magazines out and just run the crap out of the gun.
We were just going to try to set it on fire.
Just for the heck of it. But then, literally, like 30 minutes before that video was made, I found out about Kalashnikov passing.
Yeah, Tim actually sent you an email.
Tim did, and told me that he passed. And I'm like, well, screw it. We'll make this a tribute to him. And then that video ended up getting, it's up to like over 1 million views now.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
It did pretty good.
It's tacking along.
It did pretty good. So you never can tell. But sometimes the most viewed videos are the most slapstick and straight to the point, non-rehearsed. I think people just gravitate to that type of stuff. They gravitate to simple and straight to the point.
Yeah. Here's one question because I started going through your channel, watching the old videos, and in one night I drank as much as I could and watched as many videos as I could until I passed out. on your I'll say famous. Maybe you put them on the map. The high point torture tests. I think the second part, the one where you actually put the bolt in the barrel, you had camo scientific coats. Where in the heck did you find camo scientist jackets?
Those are surplus Czechoslovakian raincoats.
Oh, really?
They're Czech raincoats.
Okay. Be honest, or as honest as you can on here. How far away from you when you guys pulled the trigger with that thing in the barrel were you? Because it's like you're talking about being far away, but in the camera it sounds like you're really kind of close.
50 yards. About 50 yards away with some monofilament.
Okay.
Tied to it.
Okay.
Well,
all right.
The guys use mics too, so even if they're not near the camera, you can still hear them.
Honey, we weren't using mics back then. That was a piece of crap cyber shot.
that was a.
I was thinking of the Shoculate video where Chad walks off and he's laughing his butt off, but we can still hear him.
Yep.
So for those out there watching, if you guys got any questions for these guys, get them in here in a minute here. We're going to go to one of our Q&A segments.
In the background.
So for those out there watching, put in your questions, and in the Q&A or the Google chat or the YouTube chat, we'll get to some questions here. So a couple last YouTube things here. So obviously there's been this giant progression in the channel, and you know as we talked about, things have changed. Where do you kind of see you kind of alluded to some stuff you're working on, but as far as the YouTube stuff and channel, do you have any grander plans of doing anything new and different, or where do you see yourself for YouTube in 1, 2, 5 years, 10 years, let's say?
Well, from the standpoint of a business model or whatever, I would say that I think that YouTube could be a 10-year model, maybe. There are some things that we have in the works from a business standpoint that obviously for certain reasons we can't discuss just yet, because there are very expensive and involved measures that we've put a lot of money into, invested into, and we don't want to blow our nut just yet until we get ready to really launch it officially. But to say that YouTube as a model, will it be a viable model 10 years from now? Probably. Will it be a sustainable model from a business standpoint? Probably not. AdSense earnings, of course, are dwindling for gun channels. I don't know how business you want to get in this conversation, but AdSense earnings are a way that many channels supplement their existence and their ways to move forward as a channel. I mean, obviously, you got to pay for all this ammo, and you got to buy guns, and there's all these costs that go into.
Yeah, a lot of people think everything's free. It's not.
Right, nothing's free. So obviously, yes, the AdSense earnings do help pay for a little bit of a return on what we're trying to do. Yeah. That sort of thing.
You don't have to go just the business. I mean, feel free to. I think it's very interesting. But as far as just different videos or the way you want to take stuff, or
we're never going to run out of ideas. We've got 1,000,001 ideas. So if it's a matter of content in terms of creating content, obviously, yeah, we're going to have plenty of content. I've got enough content the last 10 years.
We've got enough guns out there to do reviews on pretty much the rest of our lives if we really wanted to. But yeah, there's a lot of other concepts out there that we come up with on a daily basis that get put on the board. We've got a whiteboard of ideas, so they get put on the board, but they might not be gotten to right off of the bat. So they may have to take a little while. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, some ideas, like for instance, we did the How Far Will a 9mm Kill, which tends to be right now a pretty popular video. And with the How Far Will a 9mm Kill, that particular video, it's been on the board for 9 months.
It's been on
almost a year. It just took us that amount of time to get around to that video. So sometimes I can mellow on the board, and I'll look up at the board and go, yeah, I need to do that, and then we'll do it when we get ready.
All right, well, I'm going to move us into one of our live audience questions. So in this segment, we're going to be fielding some questions from our live YouTube audience. For those out there listening on podcast, if you guys want to get your questions answered on live, come join us for a live show. We have a good time here. Usually drink a few brews during the time. Also, if you guys got any questions during the show, you can email me, nick@firearmsradio.tv. All right, so we definitely got a couple questions here for you guys. Eric, I'm going to throw this question at you from Havoc1230. He says, I know you were in Iraq. Curious about what years. Well, 2005, we can answer that. But what MOS were you in the Army?
Yeah, I was 11 Charlie, indirect fire, infantryman, I guess is the technical, basically mortarman. I was 11 Charlie and went in 05 and got out in 06 from Iraq. Early 05 to 2 months into 2006. Was there with the 3rd ID, attached to the 3rd ID. But I was with the 2nd Foot 48th Brigade here in Georgia. I was in the National Guard Battalion and then attached to active duty 3rd ID while we were in Iraq. I was in the Guard for 8 years. Oh, well, I got a little bit tired of the politics. I had to get away from it. I was tired of all the dick measuring, all the bureaucracy. There's a lot of things that go on in reserve and guard units that don't go on in active duty units, and there's just a lot of crap that goes on that I don't guess if you really want to know, it's just a lot of good old boy crap, and they just don't do things as standard. They don't do things by the book, and just a lot of good old boy crap going on. And after a while, it gets old, and it's kind of one thing. Not in the right crew, you're not in the right clique, or you don't know the right people. You don't get treated fairly as someone lesser qualified for a position than you may be. They get preference over you just because they're poker buddies with so-and-so, or just bureaucracy. And I'm just tired of the politics and got away from it. And not to say my heart wasn't in the cause or my heart wasn't in doing it anymore, but just made a decision. I was just done with it and got away from it in quick order.
Okay. Another question for you guys, and anybody can hop in on this one, from Dirk. I'm going to say your name wrong. Rolofs. Somewhere in there. Whatever happened to the Sega 12 SBR with the drum? Haven't seen it since the AK pistol review.
We've actually got a couple of them that we've showcased in various videos. One of them belongs to one of my coworkers up at Moss. The other gun is another customer's gun that we don't really borrow that gun very often. But to answer your question, Dirk, we can. In fact, we've had him out at the farm before. He's a fellow that visited to come shoot with us, him and his wife.
Oh, yeah.
So we had them out at the farm. But
okay.
Anyway, I appreciate him joining us here. To answer his question, I will get that gun back out. If you want to see us do some crazy stuff, we will wear it out, and we'll make all kind of racket, and it'll be a fun video. So we'll get that SPR or the SPS back out. That is a great little gun. And that's one that Ray built at Moss Pond. So very, very good quality gun. It runs really well.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we'll get that.
Okay. Here's a question for both of you guys from Izzy Long. Apparently, Izzy Long is starting to grow his tactical beard. He wants to know how long it took for you guys to grow yours.
I wouldn't really consider mine a tactical beard, but he's been working on his for a little while now. You can look at past videos and see kind of the iteration of it coming up. Started out as a goatee, it puffs out, then he shaves it all off. You shaved it off for Halloween last year, didn't you?
I shaved my entire head for Halloween last year.
You shaved your entire head. You shaved your beard as well and trimmed your beard up.
It was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, you were.
Well, here's the thing about beards, man. For one, if you're going to grow a good beard, you got to do it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Epic Mealtime. Harley over Epic Mealtime. He did a video where. I'm serious. He did a video where somebody was like, "Hey, man, how do you grow such a beard?" And he took a razor and he went. And threw it away, Just don't shave, And then once it starts getting gnarly and all crazy looking, then you just kind of trim it up a bit, which is probably getting about time to trim up.
Well, at that point, I think you probably just shampoo it, right?
Oh, I shampoo my beard. Absolutely. Yeah.
Condition as well?
I do. I use conditioner, everything.
Pantene?
No.
See the shine.
You got to keep it silky, silky smooth. Yeah. Just let it grow, man. And if you're one of those guys that gets the peach fuzz going, if you can't grow a beard real well, keep shaving.
No, that's a myth.
It's not a
That's a myth because I tried it. It's not working.
Well, you're just babyface.
I am a babyface,
Freaking
but it keeps
exposed.
my youthful looks.
Yeah.
I get ID'd every time we go to the Mexican restaurant to eat. After I win on a shooting match, that kind of thing. So
I won last time.
you won last
Oh.
time. Unless you.
Well, you guys, you're gonna have to save up this for our segment after this here. So we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of who's the better shooter here. Don't worry. So we have another question here from Kevin Benton. Guys, what's the dumbest thing you've ever seen someone do to a Mosin Nagant?
Probably chop the stock off and put a folding stock and a pistol grip and everything on it.
Making it into a fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much anything that can be done to a Mosin that's dumb is probably something we've done. You know what? To answer that question a little bit more seriously, though, I've seen some real hack job crap. All right, I went into a shop one time and I was looking at a barreled Mosin action that they had gotten in on a property room. It was a local shop, and they do a lot of law enforcement stuff where they buy property rooms. And part of the property room was this guy had taken a Mosin and cut it down in to an Abres, into like a pirate pistol. And what he did, I mean, it was an illegal SBR. So what the guys at the shop did is they took like a freaking set of like vice grips or something and like twisted the barrel off to get the illegal short barrel off of it. And then they were selling just a stripped action. And it's like, just dumb stuff like that people do.
Some people do that stuff unknowingly. They don't really realize that it's against the law to cut a rifle down into a little pistol, a little pirate pistol.
Yeah, a little Mad Max special.
Yeah, but it did the job.
I've seen some real hack jobs. Probably the Mosin sporterizing work that I hate the most is when someone just takes like a standard military stock and like cuts it down, bull noses it, and then cuts the barrel down with a hacksaw and like welds on a scope mount, big ugly bird turd welds and all this.
Yeah.
I've seen some real kitchen gunsmith crap come through the shop.
And maybe it's something we'll hit on too, because I work at a gun shop, and there is nothing. If you can ever find, I mean, obviously Ray was super cool to meet, super awesome guy too. But if you have a good gunsmith, you will be in business forever. I think that is a solid rule in the gun industry. If you have a great gunsmith, you're never going to go out of business, ever.
Well, gunsmithing works also like tattoo work. You get one bad tattoo, and that's all you'll ever be known for as a tattoo artist. And it's the same thing with gunsmithing. You get one pissed off dickweed that doesn't know anything about guns and just automatically determines that your work is just so subpar and so horrible. They're going to tell all their friends, and it's just bad juju. So a good gunsmith is worth the salt to a gun store.
Well,
they do bring business.
What's the old adage? Good word of mouth is good. Bad word of mouth is rough. It spreads faster.
Yep.
Some of those lines.
Yeah, it's always the bad work that gets done that carries way further than you have to do 1,000 good jobs to cover up 1 or 2 bad jobs that somebody was displeased with.
Well, it may not have even been a bad job. They just didn't know what they wanted.
Just didn't perceive it wrong. Yeah, that way.
Another comment here from BirdDog1227, and I'm going to echo this as well. Woot woot on the Vortex hat, Chad, which I have to mention that is repping a Wisconsin company. So, heck yeah, awesome.
Well, I've been running a PST 1-4 for quite a while on one of my ARs, and Eric actually deboed it a little while back for a few of his rifles. You wrote on your scarf for a little while. It was shown in a couple of videos, and we actually ran it on the PTR recently, and got a few other optics, from Vortex to try out. We've got the new spotting scope that we picked up, and been running the DSLR on that as a target cam. So you'll be seeing a lot more of that later. So
they're a great company,
but they're U.S. based pretty much. I mean, they do import some of the optics and whatnot, but very good glass. I mean, some of the higher end stuff is made in Japan, but they've got an excellent warranty. I mean, pretty much no questions.
Excellent customer service.
So they're getting known in the gun industry. They started out kind of as a bird watching organization. They kind of slowly have developed and grown into the gun industry and trying to make a name for themselves.
Yeah, they got started out as a bunch of bird watchers.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Hey, that's fine.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to go there. They're based in Middleton, Wisconsin, outside of Madison. I have not went there yet, but I've heard actually if you go in there, you get ridiculous pricing. I haven't been able to confirm that or not, but if you can go in there, apparently you get wholesale or dealer pricing at their retail location. That's not confirmed. I've just heard that from a couple people that have come into our shop. So
You have to make a road trip. But one of the other cool things is they are a family company. I mean, so not a lot of that going on too much anymore nowadays. You know, big corporations and whatnot, but it's a small family-owned business, so which is kind of neat.
Yeah, we like to support mom and pop any chance we get.
yeah, and they make excellent YouTube videos as well. Excellent. I don't know if you've seen their commercials that they've made. Hilarious. Hilarious commercials. But we're going to move it on here. So, again, for everybody out there watching and listening, put more questions in. If we get a bunch more questions here, we'll do another Q&A segment before we wrap up the show here. But now we're going to move on to a segment we haven't done in a long time. We're going to move on to Whose Gun Line Is It Anyways? So, all right, guys, it's part of the show for Whose Gun Line Is It Anyways, where the questions are made up and the points don't matter. The games we're going to be playing tonight with Eric and Chad are Rapid Fire, Double Tap, and Gun Libs. So, for our first game of the night, what we're going to be playing is Rapid Fire. The rules of this segment are simple. I will ask you a series of questions, and you can answer yes or no. There is no explanations allowed. You can't add anything, just a yes or no, black or white answer.
As quick as possible.
I'm going to be awarding random points to each answer for the best or funniest answers. So, Eric, you're up first. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm as ready as I'm going to be.
All right. So, Eric, is the AK better than the AR?
No.
Is ceramic body armor better than steel armor?
Yes.
Is 45 ACP better than 9mm?
No.
Are 1911s the best handguns ever made?
No.
Is 380 a viable self-defense round?
Yes.
If you could carry a fully automatic pistol, would you?
Hell yeah.
Bonus points. All right, Chad, you're up. You ready?
Yeah, man.
All right. Is 9mm better than 40 Smith & Wesson?
Yes.
Is a shotgun better for home defense than a pistol?
Yes.
Is a weapon-mounted light better than a handheld light?
Yes.
Is the AK better than the AR?
No.
Is firearm precision more important than speed?
Yes.
Does Glock make the best handgun ever made?
Hell no.
Oh, that's minus points. Minus points. So we got Eric in the lead so far here. So let's move on to our next segment called Double Tap. This game is a little bit different. So instead of having a question that is answered yes or no, you're going to work together to double tap these questions with the first answer that pops into your head, one right after the other. You are still not allowed to explain, just the first answer that comes to mind. So both of you will be answering these questions one after the other. Again, I'll be awarding you points based off answers and creativity. Are you ready, Chad? You are first.
All right.
What is your favorite handgun?
Makarov.
Smith & Wesson M&P9 Pro.
Eric.
Makarov.
Eric, what is your favorite rifle?
K31.
M1A.
What was yours, Chad?
M1A.
M1A? Okay. Chad, what is your favorite long-distance round?
338 Lapua.
Eric.
338 Lapua.
We got to think about this because there's so much, you know.
Yeah, that's a loaded question, man.
Yeah. Eric, what is your favorite red dot non-magnified optic?
I'd have to say Aimpoint M68.
Aimpoint M68.
All right. One of you guys has to top the other guy. Just that's how this works, just so you know.
Well, we have a lot of the same taste. What do you expect?
All right. Let's see here. Chad, what is your favorite handgun caliber?
9mm.
9mm. Well, I mean, I like 9.
All right. Eric, name a shooter that you look up to.
A shooter?
Yeah.
Well, It would be really corny if I said Jerry.
No
Michalak.
explanations. No explanations. You say Jerry, and I'm going to say Jerry.
Jerry Michalak, yeah. Jerry Michalak.
I say Jerry Michalak.
Yeah.
All right. Chad, if you had to pick one, just one, would it be full auto or suppressed rifle?
Press rifle.
Full auto.
There we go. Eric, if you could build an AR in any caliber other than 5.56, what would it be?
6.5 Grendel.
6.5 Grendel.
Are you two holding hands during this episode too? What is going on here?
Good deal, man.
All right, Eric, what is your most wanted handgun caliber to shoot that you have not yet?
Well,
What haven't we
I
shot?
don't think that's possible, man. I don't think that's possible. How about 38 S&W?
Okay. Chad?
I can't think of one that I really haven't shot.
3220?
3220.
Did I get extra points because I answered?
You
for
answered
him?
for me.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
you get extra points for that.
Yeah, I have no. Yeah.
All right, Chad, what is your most wanted rifle caliber to shoot that you have not yet?
408 shot tack.
God dang it! That's exactly what I was going to say.
I know.
How about I'm going to be a hipster and I'm going to say 416 Barrett.
Okay.
There we go. All right. Last two questions. A lot's on the line here. Eric, who is a better shot?
Me.
Chad. Last question, and I think I know you're both going to agree with this. Is the Scar 17S the best battle rifle ever made?
Yes.
Yeah. No, wait, I'm going to say no. Screw that.
All right. Fine.
I'm just going to disagree. No, it's not.
What is, for bonus points, what is the best battle rifle ever made?
M1A.
All right.
14.
All right, so we're gonna move on to our last game segment here, and I really put a lot of effort into this, so I hope you guys can appreciate this. So it's our last segment for the night, called Gun Libs. So you remember back in the day when you used to fill out those old Mad Libs, those Mad Libs books with words and nouns and adverbs? Remember those?
One of those.
You're getting too teachy for us, man. I don't know.
All right.
It sounds like
All right.
school. We're rednecks now. You got to break it down one more simple, man.
Well, it's pretty much like the old Mad Libs, but dumbed down because I knew I had on the show. So in this segment, I'm going to be asking each of you to fill in the blank for your Mad Gun Libs that I've written for you this week. I'm going to have you guys answer the questions, and then I'm going to tell the story that I wrote for you guys.
That sounds
So
good.
Eric, what is your favorite store?
My what?
Favorite store?
My favorite store?
Yep.
That's such a random question. I mean, the liquor store? I don't know. I'm just kidding. We're talking retail?
Any store. Any store.
Guitar Center.
Guitar Center. All right. Chad, what is the worst gun ever?
Damn, I wanted that one. I could answer that in a heartbeat.
That's one that came to mind. I'm sure there's one worse for 67 off the bat.
What was that?
Springfield 67.
All right.
I'm sure there's one worse, but it doesn't come to mind right now. Have a gun encyclopedia up here is like, having to go through the Rolodex,
I'd rather have a sharp stick than
Yeah.
Eric, pick a color.
black.
Chad, favorite rifle.
Pick a rifle.
Pick a rifle. Scar 17.
Eric, favorite pistol.
Makarov.
This is going to give away a little bit of the story here. Chad, name something that's found in a nail salon.
Women.
Good answer. He should get extra points.
Eric, pick a number. Between
88.
1 and 10. Between 1 and
Oh.
10.
8. Why not?
Now, Chad, what is your favorite color?
Black.
It goes with everything.
It does.
Eric, what is the best body part on Chad?
What kind of damn question is that? His brain.
And Chad, what is the best quality about Eric?
His beard.
All right.
Thanks. You're welcome.
All right, so here is this week's Gun Libs. One sunny afternoon, best friends Eric and Chad decide to get a manicure together at the local mall. While they were getting their manicures done in the salon, there was sudden commotion across the mall at the Guitar Center store. Soon they saw a person in the crowd with a Springfield 67 wearing a black mask trying to rob the store. Eric and Chad quickly devised a plan to help save the other shoppers. Eric grabbed his Scar 17 and took cover behind the women in the nail salon. While Chad used his tactics he learned from Call of Duty to close the gap between him and the bad guy with his Makarov pistol. With Chad just a few feet away from the bad guy now, Eric lines up an impossible shot on a thin wire that is 8 feet away, that is holding a hanging sign just above the bad guy. Eric focuses his super rifle powers and breaks a clean shot that breaks the line, and the sign swings down and hits the bad guy in the brain and fully disabling him. Chad quickly moves to disarm the bad guy while he's distracted and saves the day. The boys return back to the nail salon to finish their black sparkle nails, and all was good in the mall thanks to Eric and Chad's beard. Congratulations.
Was the Mall Ninja AR, part of the inspiration for that story? Why couldn't it be an Ninja AR,
That could possibly be. But congratulations, you guys both finished it. I might have to go. You know what? I honestly think you guys both did great answers. Tiebreaker on our show, there was beard length. So whoever has the longest beard wins.
Yep.
So congratulations, Eric. You are the winner of episode 46.
What do I win?
I will send you a random box in the mail of our prizes from all of our sponsors that we have.
Awesome. That'll work.
But we're going to move.
I'm going to intercept the UPS guy.
But let's move back here. And I saw people threw in a bunch more questions here, and hopefully we'll get to those too shortly here before we wrap up the show here. But something I kind of wanted to hit on here with you, Eric, and then Chad, anything that you want to throw in, just throw it in there. But since obviously, Eric, you have been overseas, in Iraq and stuff, and we haven't had anybody on that's been over there, and since this whole ISIS kind of stuff talked about, so I kind of wanted to get a veteran's point of view that's been over there with everything we hear that's going on over there. What's kind of from a veteran that's been over there, what's kind of your thoughts on what's going on in there, and from a military standpoint, is that something that we should even get involved in again? What's your opinion alone on that? Because I'm kind of curious from a person that's been over there.
Well, people are people no matter where you go in the world, and I think that's a big misconception. As Americans are very closed-minded, and we think that we're automatically always going to be right no matter what, and we have that greater than thou attitude about things in the world. And the thing we have to remember about ISIS is that they're doing what they think is right. Now, we know it's not right. We know it's wrong. We know they're a bunch of evil fucks, and they're doing the wrong thing. But they are doing what they feel is right. Now, it doesn't make it right, obviously. I'm not condoning what they're doing. I'm not saying what they're doing is right. I'm not saying that we should be over there fighting them. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be over there fighting them. But I'm just saying that their culture is completely different from ours. They have a completely different view of right and wrong. They value human life in a different way than we do, and their religion drives and motivates their actions much more heavily than ours does. Now, we have a predominantly Christian society here. Religion is a very important part of U.S. culture and what we do as Americans and the way that we interact socially with each other. Christianity is a very big part of that here. But we're not going to go out on the streets killing each other over it and these sorts of things. We have to remember that these people have been doing this for thousands of years. Excuse me. They're never going to change. They're always going to resort back to religiously motivated violence in the name of their religion, in the name of Allah, or whatever the case may be. And they're always going to resort back to jihad, no matter what we do. And I think the best thing to do, you mentioned, from a war fighting standpoint, from a foreign policy standpoint, to just ignore the problem would probably be very unwise. But to jump full in, get troops on the ground, and fight these people would also be, I believe, a very irresponsible move. I knew that once we pulled out of Iraq, it would turn right back into this crap all over again, and that they would have the place completely under their control again. The issue is you kill the guy in charge, and 2 weeks later they've got some new puppet standing up to take his place. There's always going to be willing participants of their war. There's always going to be people that want to volunteer to fight that holy war, and it's a religiously motivated war. If we're not fighting the war in a religiously motivated fashion, which we're not, most of our motivations involve politics and they involve economics. We're not fighting religious war. They are. So you're never going to beat someone that's fighting religious war unless you are fighting religious war. Look at the Crusades. We're not fighting the Crusades. Now, they might think that we're fighting that type of war, but we're not. We're not fighting some religious war against it. And I think the sooner people realize that their motivations, that's why I mentioned it in the beginning of this statement, was that they're doing what they think is right. Well, regardless of whether or not it's right, it's part of their religion. It's what they know. It's all they know. And unless you're going to combat that with equal diligence, you're not going to beat them. That's my take on it. They're not, unless you wipe them off the face of the earth like a bunch of cockroaches and turn the place into a glass parking lot and rebuild and start over, you're not going to defeat them.
Okay. Chad, anything you want to throw in on there?
Can't win.
Well, pretty much I've got the same feeling about the whole situation Eric does. The ISIS fighters are fighting a religious war. They have their fervent beliefs, and they believe in jihad. They believe that the Western world is the great Satan. In more or less words, and our way of life is the ultimate evil in the world, and they are pretty much geared to eradicate that at any cost. And that could mean strapping a bomb on their bodies and walking into a subway station or walking into a large public gathering, whatever the case may be. But when we were in Iraq, I think that there's a lot of controversy about why we were there. Weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction, resources. There's a lot of controversy. I'm not going to get into that, but we were there keeping the threat at bay for the most part. But when we pulled out, I have to say that I agree with George Bush back in 2007. He said that if we pull out, this is what's going to happen, and you can see it happening right now and then. And I don't think that our president has the balls to actually stand up and do what he needs to do to take care of the threat that is ISIS, coming here to the country. You think about our borders, on the southern side of the states here. They're very much wide open. There's no border security whatsoever. So it wouldn't take anything for ISIS fighters to come into Mexico, come right across the state line or the country line, and start causing actions here in the States.
Well, the thing is you throw a damn cowboy hat on them and they look like Mexicans.
That's the thing.
They can sneak right in.
Yeah, they blend in just like anybody else, and that's part of their MO. They blend in to everyone else, and that way no one really expects the attack. Yeah. And that's why they are so hard to fight. But if they get onto this soil, there's going to be hell to pay. Just like back in World War II era. Just like I believe it was General Yamamoto or Admiral Yamamoto said that an invasion of the mainland by the Japanese military would be just basically null and void because there would be a rifle behind every blade of grass. You better be damned that there would be a rifle behind every blade of grass and then some. Nowadays, you got a lot of people out there that would give everything to defend this country and defend our way of life. And I don't think that ISIS fighters, they may not have that exact same mentality or that same feeling towards their own country. They might have it toward their religion, but we as Americans have a much different feeling about our freedoms and our liberty here, and we will defend it to the blood.
I think there's a much better national identity between Americans here and what we would be willing to do for the greater good for each other than over there. And I think that in that sense, we would certainly obviously we're always going to come out victorious, but if there were some type of major military event to happen here where we would all need to respond accordingly, I think that that's where America really excels, is in coming together and doing things directly for each other. And Americans also are traditionally known for being war fighters. We like to fight. We like to cause trouble.
What can you say?
Yeah, we're troublemakers. We're a bunch of rabble-rousers, and we like to cause trouble.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the input there because, I think it's hard for a lot of people to say what we should or shouldn't do over there when they've never been there. So I appreciate that input there from somebody that's been over there because, I think that perspective is, and I think you hit on it there, is the cultures are just so different that each sides are approaching this from far different things, and to say that one thing might be the best answer.
Well, when one culture is trying to impose their culture on someone else, that in my opinion is morally wrong. I mean, it's not like we as Americans are really trying to encroach our religion or our way of life on someone else. Now, democracy, sure. I mean, democracy is a free way of life. You got a lot of liberty there. Sure, we would want to have some monarchy or some crazy regime somewhere who oppresses their people, change their ways and have a more democratic form of life.
Yeah.
In that country, but still,
well, the most important thing to remember, and we'll move on, but the important thing to remember is that people are people no matter where you go in the world. You got assholes, you got good people, you got bad people, and everything in between. I mean, there are good people in Afghanistan. There are good people in Iraq. There are good people in Syria. They're just trying to make a normal life and go about their business just like the rest of us. It's not their fault that there's a bunch of jackwagons in their country that are causing problems and making them look bad. And that's just the best way to look at it. You can't say just because someone's Iraqi or from Iran or whatever from the Middle East that they're all of a sudden a terrorist. You're just traditional, stereotypical view of a terrorist just because they're from that area, when probably a fairly large majority of the people over there just want to get along like normal and just live a normal life like anybody else.
And be left alone.
Yeah, they just want to be left alone and live their life just like anyone else.
Okay. Well, no, I appreciate the input, and again, it's always better to get info from somebody that's been there compared to talking heads on networks that will never ever go there ever. So, but one thing we're hit up on one last subject here. Then we got a few more questions. We're gonna wrap it up here. So, you have a big event going on this month, don't you?
We do.
Oh yeah.
Big YouTube shoot.
Yeah.
Yep. Got a lot of YouTube producers coming together. A lot of the companies that support us, and a lot of companies that are bringing out different guns and different products to showcase and try out and whatnot. Gonna have a lot of machine guns out there. A lot of fun times. So, a lot of videos being made.
Yeah, it's an event that we put together as a cross-promotional entity for channels to come together, cross-promote. It allows me to take my subscriber base and introduce them to people that might not have known about, introduce them to companies, and it allows a lot of the people attending the shoot to work with some of the companies that I do in terms of, not only product and things like that, but just good companies, people that I do product reviews for and things like that. So it just allows everybody to kind of just hang out. It's kind of like a business meeting, but with machine guns.
Yeah, pretty much. And we also have like smaller companies or maybe larger companies that are up and coming and whatnot, but they may be diving into the firearms market in one way or the other, and they're trying to get their product out there or maybe their service out there. So what better way than social media? You have all these YouTube channels coming together, and pretty much everybody can do something on the product and showcase it in that form or fashion and really get the word out there about it.
Absolutely.
So my question for this year, shoot, is last year, obviously you guys set the bar with, I was trying to find the picture, with asshole shoot that way. Do you have any plans to up that this year?
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to have that many problems this year or not, based on the location we're shooting at. So.
Well, here's the thing. This year, the venue that we're shooting at this year, I'm not going to go into too many details, but the family members of the people that own the property that we're shooting on this year, they're in pretty good with local law enforcement. And believe me, it's not going to be a problem.
And also, it helps to be about a quarter mile away from one of the local shooting ranges.
Yeah, so we're going to be making some serious racket now. I can't confirm or deny this, but I heard through the grapevine that we were going to be setting off the largest binary explosive that's ever been set off on YouTube. We're going to set the record for YouTube for binary charge.
Nice. And
50 pounds?
450?
450 or 5.
Oh hell, we can top that.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a over 500-pound binary charge we're gonna set off.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Mm-hmm. I may have let the
Yes.
cat out of the bag, but we may do it. And we have a bit of a eluding factor there.
All right. Well, we're gonna hit a couple questions here and wrap it up here. But here was one really good question here that we had from Kevin again here, and I'm gonna throw out to both of you here. What gun has given you guys the most problems?
Utah's UTS-15.
I would have to agree. I mean, that gun, we tried to get out there and do a video with it and actually filmed like an intro segment and B-roll segments and whatnot, but we tried to do the range footage, and the gun would run. I mean, what am I going to do, run 3 cameras and edit every shot, to make the gun look like it's running right? No, hell no.
We don't do that.
So, but the gun would run on just basic like birdshot, like Winchester white box or whatever. But when you start putting the heavier loads in there, which the gun is rated for, it would just choke up, lock up. You couldn't lock the gun without slamming it on the ground. Now maybe they've made some improvements to it, but I mean the version that we had, it just wasn't really kicking it.
All right, this is the gist that I get from the whole thing. From what I understand, some Turkish firearms designer designed this shotgun. All right, they tried to market it to Smith & Wesson. Smith & Wesson said, hell no, we're not putting our name on this piece of shit. We're not going to market this thing. Are you crazy? So then they said, fine, we'll just market it ourselves. So they gave it some tricky, crazy name, and then when they're trying to market it to military and law enforcement and all this stuff. Now, the gun design itself is interesting. It's a cool design. But the implementation and the engineering in terms of the build quality, it's just not there. It is not a well-made shotgun. It's not well-made. It's engineered well. The gun is cool in terms of the way it functions, the way it operates. If it worked 100% and was engineered and built as a firearms design a little more efficiently and maybe had a little bit better materials, hell yeah, I'd be all over it. But it doesn't run. It doesn't work. So why bother?
Okay. Much more proven platform on the market.
I would say if somebody wanting a bullpup shotgun, KSG's pretty dang hard to beat for what it is.
I did shoot the Kalashnikov. Somebody had converted down at the range a Sega into the Kalashnikov. That was kind of cool to shoot.
The Kalashnikov?
Yeah,
run it. As long as the guns will run low brass reliably, that's where a lot of people get into trouble with Segas. Is they don't set them up for low brass. If you do port work on them, they run like a TAC 47 and get them where they'll run light, combat loads, whatever. As long as there's a little bit of port work done, those guns generally run just fine. And I have shot the Kalashnikov. I noticed I'm not too crazy about the amount of recoil. It just seems like it's right there.
It's quite substantial.
Yeah, it's certainly a more stiffer recoil profile because of the way the action's operating in a bullpup configuration. But it's a cool system.
Yeah.
They're a little bit finicky to install. They're not really easy to put together like they allude them to be. They require a bit of playing around to get them to run right.
Okay. We have a question from Ohio Wolverine. I'm gonna throw this to both of you. What is your favorite milsurp rifle?
Well,
I don't know. I'd have to say some form or fashion of a Swiss rifle. I mean, probably on both accounts. I mean, K31 is kind of hard to beat. You know,
it is so
it's
damn difficult to choose a favorite because there's so many great guns out there that.
Well,
that
you know,
are just,
you have a favorite Swiss rifle. You have a favorite German rifle. You have a favorite GI rifle. I
Yeah.
mean, it's hard to break it down into one gun that is your absolute favorite. I mean,
if you could only have one. K31.
K31.
From a standpoint of engineering, quality, workmanship, craftsmanship, all of those things that make guns what they are.
And accuracy
out of the box. You can dime for dime and dollar for dollar. The K31 service rifle is the best milsurp rifle on planet Earth. Period. And that's not a mall ninja statement. I mean that I have a collection of almost 90. I think I'm up to 93 milsurps. And out of all of my almost 100 milsurp rifles I own, if I had to choose one to actually go to war with, it'd be either a K31 or probably an M1 carbine. I love the M1 carbine. Great gun. All right, so I have to choose a wild card on that one. K31 is my favorite bolt action. M1 carbine is probably my favorite auto in a milsurp form.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a question from Facebook. What are your guys' thoughts on the Winchester 250 lever action 22 rifle? The guy's thinking about picking one up.
Winchester 250.
Mm-hmm.
You said lever action rifle?
Yep, that's what he said.
I might have to refer to the great Google for that one because I'm not. To be honest with you, I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar.
I think I may have seen one of those come in the shop not too long ago. To be honest with you.
Look it up. I may know it when I see it. Am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to cheat?
Absolutely. You're absolutely. We have just a couple more, and we'll hit them up here while.
Oh, okay.
A couple of those.
All right, look. Okay, I'll answer this. Okay, look, that little gun right there. You guys might be familiar, you might not. The Winchester Model 120. Mm-hmm. The Winchester Model 120. It's a semi-automatic firearm Winchester produced, and it's tubular fed. Okay. This gun is the same exact configuration except it's lever action. So instead of being semi-automatic, it uses a very similar bolt shape, very similar bolt throw in terms of the distance that the bolt travels, and it uses a very similar feeding system except it's lever action. So I would say that given my experience with the Model 100s and 120s, I would say the 250 would probably be a pretty good candidate if you wanted a good 22 rifle. Well, price-wise, probably going to be pretty reasonable, and also availability-wise, they probably produce far less of the lever guns as they did for the automatic. So they're probably going to be a little bit harder to find, which would demand a little bit more of a premium price-wise.
Well, not only that, but being a lever gun, you can run several different varieties of ammo out of there, whereas a semi-auto 22, typically they're like hotter ammo, so you're not going to be able to run like match-grade ammo out of it, or sometimes the stingers can put a lot of wear and tear on the action. You know, the higher velocity stuff. So with lever gun, you know, you're basically getting kind of like bolt action accuracy out of, you know, your 22, but it's also, you know, quick to change.
I would say that any Winchester bolt gun or lever gun in 22 is going to be hard to beat. I say go for it if it's a clean example. Price-wise, I'd say if it's over $350, you'd probably be getting a little further along than you want to be. Between $200 and $350, I'd say would be about the average price on a gun like that.
Okay. We have 3 last questions here, and we're going to wrap it up.
Sure.
A great segue here is Super Tucker Tom wants your thoughts on the 22 ammo situation.
Well, we actually have a video on that, but not a lot has changed since there. I mean, we've seen a lot of 22s start coming back into the shop. We've got more than we had when we actually did the 22 ammo shortage. I think we did the gun grind on that.
It was something along those lines. The thing about 22 ammo is that there's a few things that are affecting why it's difficult to get. One factor is that some of it we're just producing ourselves because we're manufacturing this problem because we're paying exuberant prices for it. All right, we're buying it in quantity at exuberant prices, and we're hoarding the ammunition when we do find it. If people would just stop buying 22 ammo and just give it about 3 or 4 months to cool back down, and let the whole industrial complex catch back up to the demand, then the prices will go back down.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as people continue to pay these exuberant prices for the ammunition, then they're going to keep selling it for that.
Well, it's still a common supply and demand item, or a supply and demand problem. You know, you've got finite supply out there. I mean, the production is pretty much ramped up. I mean, even some of our guys at Federal have said that they're producing ammo as fast as they can. You know, so they can't produce any more.
I don't believe
once
it.
it gets out there on the market, you know, I mean, it's kind of there.
I think that the shortage is somewhat amplified by the distributors. People that are responsible. Well, the people that are responsible for getting the ammo out to the gun shops, they say that they're sending out every piece that they allocate, and they're selling every piece of ammo they get. But I highly doubt it.
Well,
I think some of these distributors are sitting on it.
Well, we talked about that too, and we had people calling the shop to say that some of the retailers were actually hoarding ammo as well. Some of the managers and whatnot, some of the big sporting goods retailers were hoarding the ammunition in the back. You know, they had like half a pallet sitting there when it could be on the shelf being sold to customers.
Yeah.
You know, so you got those problems compounded across the country in various sporting goods retailers, and that only adds some problems.
From a retail standpoint, it is an external and internal problem. It is a multifaceted problem that everything from the consumer all the way down to the manufacturing complex and all of the chains within. It is a problem that we are manufacturing. We are collectively causing the problem. We're creating the problem. So, you know, it'll probably free up. It's just going to take a few years to get back to the good old days. Yeah, and it may not ever return. We may not ever see $1.99 boxes of 22 anymore.
Yeah, $18 Federal packs, you know, I mean.
No, I think those days are gone, guys, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it sucks, especially for us who have kids that like to shoot 22s. So, last question here, then we're going to wrap it up. I guess a recommendation or suggestion from Havoc1230. You guys should do a caliber rework on a Mosin. Would be interesting to see. Is that anything you guys ever consider doing?
There's going to be some limitations as to what calibers you can convert from Mosin. It's mainly because of the bolt. Obviously, the bolt design is not going to lend itself. There's a few things with the Mosin that don't lend itself well to a caliber change. One is the interrupter system that the Mosin uses. It uses a very delicate interrupter system that has to be set up just right, or else it's just not going to operate even with 54R. I mean, it's got to be tuned just right.
Also, it's a rimmed cartridge.
It's a rimmed cartridge, so there's only going to be so many rimmed cartridges that will work in tangent. Well, really, the only other caliber I know of that could even part ways be made to work with some work would be 30-30 Winchester.
Yeah, or, well, I mean, 303, but still, I mean.
You could do, yeah, exactly. The whole point of converting a Mosin to a different caliber would be to shoot a more common caliber, right? So 30-30, you might could do 30-30, you might could do 45-70. It'd be a single shot. You're not going to be able to load 45-70 into the magazine. You might could do one in 45-70. You could do a 30-30. You could do a 303. You might be able to get away with 30-40 Krag, yeah, but again.
Well, it comes down to where the amount of work involved and the amount of cost and labor that is involved with the caliber conversion for a Mosin, especially with something like a rimless cartridge, like, okay, standardized 308.
Yeah, welding up the bolt face and all that.
There's a lot of work involved with that. I mean, and the cost could be very much exuberant over the cost of the rifle, or even just sporterizing that Mosin to get it sub-minute accuracy. But you know, you got a lot of companies that are producing high-quality projectiles, you know, for the Mosin, and why not just hand load 54R?
Well, I'll say one more thing, and then we'll leave that subject where it is. If you're going to rebarrel a Mosin, to me, there's only two options for doing so. One is to call it Lothar Walther and just order a damn Lothar Walther barrel. It's pony up on a good barrel and do it right, okay? Or two, find you a surplus UK-59 machine gun barrel.
Well, they're getting harder to find.
They are getting harder to find, but some time ago they were producing a UK-59 machine gun barrel that had the shank on it turned down and threaded for a Mosin receiver, and all you had to do was cut your extractor cut and drop in and run it. I built two of them, and they are tack drivers.
Very heavy barrel, very accurate.
Yep. So, they're ugly, the ugliest looking things in the world, but they shoot great.
We got some little tricks in the work on that.
Yeah, we still have some things in the works on that particular rig, but to answer your question, yeah, it's kind of limited on that.
Okay. Well, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Had an absolute blast, you guys coming on and just talking guns and YouTube and some current events, man. Hope you guys had a lot of fun with our game show as well.
Absolutely, yeah, that was interesting. I appreciate you having, and I appreciate your viewers putting up with our crude humor. But
Your crude humor.
yeah, we always have a thing or two going on, and I'll tell you what, if you're ever passing through Atlanta and you decide to come by, we'll have to get you in on a gun gripe or something. You can come in on one of our.
That would be awesome, and I appreciate the invite. So, yeah, I was hoping to make it down to the shoot. Unfortunately, that's not in the cards this year, but hopefully next year.
Sounds good. Well,
then I'll have enough kids where I can form a reloading press line and just have them hammer out rounds for the shoot.
Yeah, I mean, they got little fingers, so they can really get into things real easy.
That's right.
7,
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I was going to point out on the 22 ammo, and if this happens, I think it's utterly brilliant. I heard that Walmart has been stocking up on 22 long rifle for one reason. How many of you do you guys go out and do Black Thursday, Friday, whatever day that is, shopping?
Hell no.
No.
Yeah.
But if Walmart store had massive amounts of 22 long rifle on sale, would that get you into a Walmart that day?
No.
Okay. I that's what I heard through the distributor line that Walmart has been placing and stocking up on massive 22 long rifle for doing like a guy's 22 long rifle Black Friday, Thursday sale. Just something I heard. So
that line will wrap around the building twice.
Yep.
I've got much more important things to be doing than standing in line waiting on one box of 22 ammo.
I agree, but people would do it, wouldn't they? I mean, it's brilliant by Walmart getting guys to come out to Black Friday. But
well, hoping they'll buy the 22 ammo and then buy something else for their wife. That's probably the whole idea.
Yeah. But again, hey, thank you guys so much for coming on. I had an absolute blast with you guys. And something I want to personally say, too, is I met the whole Iraq veteran crew at the NRA show. Most nicest, humble guys. Super cool to talk to, just like a regular guy. Myself, Jesse's from Force City Tactical. We had Argo J, Hank Strange. We were kind of running around in a group, met up with these guys, went out to lunch together. These guys are just the coolest, and everybody in their group, just the coolest, down-to-earth, just normal guys. It was absolutely fantastic, and you guys are truly one of the really, really good guys in the gun community. So I wanted to share that with everybody and give you guys props for, just being awesome, awesome guys.
We appreciate the compliments.
Absolutely, we appreciate it, and likewise, the YouTube community. I'll keep this very short. I know we're signing off here, but the YouTube community in general, a great bunch of guys, and I generally have not met anyone in the YouTube gun community that's not a very humble person, and I think that says a lot for gun owners in the U.S. that we all kind of share a common goal of just being really easy-going and approachable type people in what we do. So we try to kind of to showcase that with everything we do. We try to be very, very humble and straightforward. So we appreciate you having us on the show. We certainly do.
No problem. Anytime. So before we sign off here, for everybody's out there watching and listening, please check out the Reloading podcast on the Firearms Radio Network as well. Mike over there runs a fantastic show. It's new on the network. He's actually local to me, and we're doing some collab work on some reloading stuff as I start to get into that. So check out his show. As always, guys, we want your feedback here on Practically Tactical, so please send any compliments, feedback, guest suggestions to nick@firearmsradio.tv. Also, please give us a review on iTunes, as that greatly helps us out. Also, make sure you go find Iraqveteran8888 on Facebook, give them a like, find them on YouTube, subscribe to their channel. You can find us as well on Facebook and YouTube by searching Practically Tactical. So as always, guys and gals, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We greatly appreciate it. And we'll catch you guys next week for another episode of Practically Tactical.